Hello everybody, I am Cindy Winget, the author of Gothic Horror Mashups, and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about Rachel Harrison. So I just got her new book, So Thirsty, and I'm going to be reading this book and doing a vlog, and then I'm going to tier rank all of her books because this is the last one I need to read until I've read all of her books. And then we can see where her books rank in my enjoyment of them. Obviously, this is just my personal opinion and doesn't necessarily mean that it would be the same for you. But if you're interested to see which Rachel Harrison books I like the most, which ones I like the least, then stick around and let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to just sit here in my chair and I've got some time to kill. My kids are at school, so I'm going to try and get a third of the way in, and then I will go ahead and update you and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've made it a third of the way into So Thirsty, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So this one so far seems pretty typical as far as vampire tales go. There's nothing about it that's really unique or different that I haven't already seen before. It very much follows the same tropes as every other vampire book, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But the thing about Rachel Harrison is her books are always like compulsively readable. Like even if I'm not completely enjoying a book, I just devour them and I usually get through them pretty quickly. So there's just something about her writing style. So that's a plus for this book. But yeah, nothing is like super standing out as unique or interesting. But basically we have these two friends and the main character is turning 40 and she's pretty sad about this. She's kind of going through a midlife crisis. She doesn't know if she's in love with her husband anymore and she's pretty sure that he's cheating on her again because apparently he's done so in the past. For her birthday, her husband actually gives her this like girls trip to go spend time with her friend, but she kind of suspects he's just trying to get her out of the way so that he can continue with his affair. So she's not completely into it. She's pretty depressed, but her friend Naomi is like, well, who cares? Let's just have fun. Let's be together because we don't get to see each other that much anymore, and let's not worry about him, you know? And so she takes her to this wild party because our main character, she's more reserved and, you know, normal housewife type thing. But her friend Naomi is like a wild child, you know, so she's always up for a good time. So they end up at this party and I feel like I should have seen this coming, but I didn't. But there's actually like an orgy in this book. So be aware of that. I don't love that. I don't like sexuality and smut in my books. So just be aware if you're like me that that is in here. It isn't like super explicit, but at the same time, it was explicit enough that it made me weirded out. Like I just don't want to read about an orgy, but that's just my personal preference. So anyways, so as you can probably guess, the people that they're having this fun time with are actually vampires, and events happen and they end up being turned into vampires. And so that's kind of the setup for this book, is now they're going to have to deal with the fact that they are no longer human or alive. So I'm going to go ahead and continue, and I'll update you when I'm about halfway through. It probably won't be today because my kids will be getting home from school soon. But when I get to that part, I'll let you know. Okay, so I'm about halfway through, so I'm here for another update. And I forgot to mention in the first update that honestly, this book kind of feels like an adult version of Twilight. It's very Twilight-esque in the fact that she meets this man and inexplicably he's like drawn to her, and he wants to spend eternity with her, basically. And he's not like his other vampire coven or whatever. And, they kind of strike up this romance, but it doesn't quite feel believable, but I mean, I'm kind of into it, but it's very like quick. It's definitely insta love. So it kind of gives it that Twilight feel to it. But anyways, I don't know if that was done on purpose, like if it's supposed to be like a parody of that, I don't know. But it's just kind of funny to me. And then I'm not sure I really like these characters, to be honest. They're kind of annoying. So Naomi, she's just very reckless and very just like spur of the moment, run over here and do this and do that, and who cares about the consequences type of girl, which I don't know. I kind of drive me nuts to read about people like that. And then our main character, she just keeps making these really dumb decisions and she keeps just going along with her friend. And I don't know. I don't really like being in her head all that much. So yeah, I'm not really loving the characters. But again, it is compulsively readable. I am flying through it and I don't necessarily dislike this book, but it's not like my favorite either. It's kind of become a bit repetitive because they've turned into these vampires and they're just like running away from it. Like they'll run away from the coven and something will happen, and they'll run over here and something will happen. But it's like over and over and over again. And it's frustrating because all of their answers, all of their questions, they could just turn around and ask the coven that are trying to help them, but they're just like so like no, 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 we don't want to be vampires, we're just gonna run away even though we keep killing people or whatever. But I don't know, it just is annoying. So it's become pretty repetitive, so I hope it knocks it off soon. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna finish this and I will let you know my final thoughts. Thinks he's getting treats. Is he getting a treat? Oh, a treaty. There's none for the cat. I'm sorry. He's like, where's my treat? Right. Okay, guys, I'm back for a final update on So Thirsty. And this isn't my favorite from Rachel Harrison, I'll have to say. I'm a little bit disappointed. Nothing was really fleshed out very well. And so you have things alluded to, like you had a guy that was trapped in the basement, or you had this creepy woman that they met in the woods, but they just like don't give you a lot of answers to, they didn't like flesh out those characters. They're just like, oh, this crazy thing happened, moving on. And then, like, I don't know, even the vampire lore wasn't all that fleshed out because honestly, it was inconsistent a lot of times. And so I couldn't really get a good handle on what these vampires are supposed to be like because they keep talking about things being heavy and they have a hard time lifting things. And so I'm like, okay, so they're more like humans, they're not really like vampires. But then you'd have a scene where she uses her strength to rip off a metal thing or whatever. And I'm like, but you talked about things being heavy and now all of a sudden you're strong. Or like she'll make comments like I haven't had to use the bathroom since I became a vampire. But then her friend uses the bathroom. And so I'm like, okay, well, do you have to go to the bathroom still? Do you not? Like it was very inconsistent when it came to being a vampire. And so I'm like, okay, I don't get it. So that was kind of weird. And again, our main character, she keeps making these really stupid decisions. It's like one part that was really cool in the book is they meet this creepy old lady vampire, but like people specifically told her that they're in a dangerous spot, and then immediately she walks away on her own for seemingly no reason. Like just stupid decisions like that just don't make any sense, that were obviously just there to get the plot to where it needed to be, and that was pretty annoying. So I didn't love that. And then this entire book, our main character is trying to run away from like the morality of becoming a vampire because obviously you kill people and you have to drink blood and all this stuff, and the whole time she's just like, no, that's terrible, I can't do that, like the entire book. And then like towards the end she just decides to embrace it and just be a vampire. But there was no like thought process. There was no reasonable way that she should feel like that. It was just like thrown in there. Like, no, I hate this. Oh, now all of a sudden I just apparently am empowered now or something. I don't know. And so I thought that was pretty inconsistent. I'm like, it didn't feel true to her character that she would feel that way. I needed the connection. I needed the thought process behind it, and it wasn't there. I didn't absolutely love this book. It's probably one of my lower ranked books from Rachel Harrison, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and tier rank all of Rachel Harrison's books now, and it'll be fun to see if your thoughts and feelings align with mine or if maybe you're the opposite of me. So by far, my favorite Rachel Harrison book so far is Such Sharp Teeth. I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was so good. There was a little bit of a romance in it, and I was invested in the romance, really liked the main male character. I really loved the relationship between her and her sister. I loved the metaphor in this book. Her becoming a vampire was paralleled with her sister being pregnant and also something else that happened in her past. It's all about not having control over your body, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was so much fun and a little bit campy, but in the best way, and I really enjoyed it a lot. This was a 5-star read for me. And then my next favorite from hers would be Cackle. This is her witchy book. And there were aspects about this book that kind of bothered me, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it and enjoyed the characters, and I loved the spider Ralph. If you know, you know. I normally hate spiders, but he was so cute. And I really liked the ending. I thought it was pretty cool, but I don't know. So I didn't love this quite as much as Such Sharp Teeth, but I did really enjoy my time with it. And then next would be The Return. This was her debut novel. She always takes like a subgenre and goes with it. She had a vampire and a werewolf and a witch, things like that. And so I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if this is a possession story or if it's supposed to be like, it kind of gives zombie vibes, but not really. So I don't know necessarily what subgenre of horror this is supposed to be, but I did enjoy it. This is about a group of friends that goes away for like a girls' weekend, so kind of reminiscent of So Thirsty, but one of their friends disappeared, and then like 2 years later she returned, but she didn't quite act like herself. So maybe it was more like a changeling. I don't know. But very good, very fun. I really enjoyed the hotel that they were staying at. I think that was my favorite part, was just the setting and the atmosphere. Yeah, this would be my next favorite from hers. And I love the pink. I love horror books that are pink. And then I would probably go with So Thirsty next, because even though it wasn't a favorite, I didn't absolutely fall in love with this. I did enjoy my time with it, and I did fly through it. So, I mean, it was pretty generic as far as vampire tales go, but yeah, this is kind of like middle of the road for me, I would say. The next would be Black Sheep, and I actually didn't really like this one. I found it very, very predictable. I know exactly what the twists were. And I didn't really like the main character, and I thought it was pretty slow, and I just didn't care for this one very much. And one thing I will say about Rachel Harrison is all of her covers are gorgeous. Like, I just love these covers. They're just so pretty and cool, and I just really like it. I really like the big font and then having one big prominent thing. Like, I just like that a lot. But Black Sheep, I was pretty disappointed with this cover. I thought it was stupid and kind of ugly, to be honest. It's just a black sheep. Like, I don't know. I felt like they could have done something cooler with that cover, personally. I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and I didn't because I did read it. The inside, in this case, did match up with the bad cover. But anyways, yeah, I just wasn't the biggest fan of this one. So that's why I no longer have my physical copy. I got rid of it as soon as I was done reading it. So next up would be her short story collection called Bad Dolls. And the stories themselves were fine. I didn't fall in love with them, but they were pretty decent. But the endings, I didn't like the endings. Like every single story, with the exception of one, I did like one ending. I thought it was pretty funny, actually. But all the rest of the endings, I feel like they just dropped the ball and they didn't stick the landing. And these stories didn't even really feel like horror to me. Like, felt more like women's lit with like a teeny touch of horror. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of short story collections as it is, and these ones just didn't really work for me. So they were fine, but they didn't blow me away. I only put this last because it was a short story collection, but I think I did enjoy it a little bit more than Black Sheep, but I just wanted to do all the novels first. And since they were like on par with each other, I just put it underneath the novel. So anyway, so that's how I feel about Rachel Harrison. Unfortunately, her newest release didn't quite work for me, didn't quite stick the landing. But I will probably continue to pick up her books because she is compulsively readable and I do like her writing style. So I'm hoping to find another one that's like Such Sharp Teeth because I loved that book so much. So I'm hoping her next book works better for me. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. So go ahead and hit that like button if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I have a new video out every Friday, so I will see you in the next video. See ya!